Chosen one. You are not here by chance. You did not stumble onto this message by accident. This moment was scheduled by heaven, aligned by divine timing, and released to you because your spirit is ready. Even now, something within you recognizes this is not just another video, it is an appointment. Anointed one. The same God who orders your steps has drawn you here because what you are about to hear will realign what has been misunderstood for far too long. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Money has not been avoiding you. It has been responding to you. The delays, the pauses, the near misses, they were not rejection. They were preparation. Scripture reminds us, as written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, that the vision waits for its appointed time, and though it seems slow, it will surely come. You are standing at the edge of that appointed moment now. A supernatural shift is forming not through striving, but through alignment. What heaven is preparing to release does not come through force, but through recognition. Anointed one. This is the hour where old limitations dissolve, where divine provision finds its rightful channel, and where what was once unseen begins to move toward manifestation. Stay open, stay still, let your spirit lean in. Listen all the way through, chosen one. Allow these words to settle deeply into your heart and soul, so what heaven has been speaking can finally take root within you. Chosen one. Let me speak to you plainly now, not as theory, not as something read from a page, but as a truth that has followed you longer than you realize. Money has not been avoiding you. Heaven has been watching how you respond when it answers. Because money is not cold, lifeless matter. It is energy, and energy listens. It responds. It mirrors. And for much of your life, it has been responding to signals you did not know you were sending. There was a season when you believed effort alone would unlock abundance. You tried harder, stayed up later, pushed your body and mind past comfort. I've been there too, believing that exhaustion was proof of worthiness. But the deeper truth revealed itself slowly, almost painfully. Striving without alignment only amplifies resistance. What changed everything for me was not a new strategy, but a quiet realization. One early morning, the universe was not withholding, it was matching me, and that realization is now being handed to you. Chosen one, ancient wisdom guarded in whispered traditions, has always known this abundance flows where alignment exists. Wealth is not a distant shore you swim toward until your strength gives out. It is an ocean already moving within and around you. Heaven would not bring you to this moment if your spirit were not ready to remember that truth. This is not about learning something new. This is about remembering who you were before fear taught you to shrink. There was a time in my own life when money arrived in strange, almost inconvenient ways. Opportunities, I dismissed ideas, I doubted connections I didn't follow up on because they didn't look big enough. Only later did I realize that was money responding. Not in the final form I expected, but in the seed form I failed to honor. You may recognize this now in your own story, moments that felt like near misses, almost breakthroughs, invitations that stirred your spirit but scared your mind. Those were not accidents, they were responses. Chosen one, scripture speaks of seasons and appointed times, and not everything arrives fully grown. Some things come as whispers before they come as manifestations. Money responds first to your inner state, not your bank account. When your heart carries guilt about receiving it, responds carefully. When your spirit carries fear of visibility, it responds quietly. When your soul believes deep down that abundance might cost you love, safety, or belonging, it responds indirectly. Not to punish you, but to protect the alignment. You were never blocked. You were calibrating. I remember the moment this truth pierced me. I was sitting with someone who had far less than I did on paper, yet they carried a peace, a certainty, an ease that I couldn't explain. And suddenly it became clear they weren't chasing provision, they were at peace with it. Their life was not loud, but it was open. Money flowed to them because nothing in them was arguing with its arrival. That was the day I understood that alignment is permission. Chosen one money does not respond to desperation. It responds to resonance. Just as Scripture teaches that faith is the substance of things hoped for, not seen, abundance follows the same law. It moves toward what already believes, not what begs. This is why heaven has been softening you, slowing you down, teaching you stillness. Not to delay you, but to prepare you to receive without fear. Think back over your life. How many times did you feel something shifting before anything changed externally? That was not imagination. That was alignment forming. The universe always speaks in energy before it speaks in events. And right now, your inner world is being adjusted so the outer world can follow without breaking you. Chosen one, hear this with clarity. Money has been learning how to approach you safely. It has been responding to your growth, your healing, your expanded capacity. Heaven does not send overflow to containers still leaking self-doubt. And I say this not to condemn you, but to honor how far you've come. You are no longer who you were when you first prayed for abundance. Your nervous system is different. Your awareness is sharper. Your spirit is steadier. That is why the response is changing now. There is a sacred moment that comes when you stop asking, "Why isn't it here yet?" and begin asking, "How has it already been moving toward me?" That question shifts everything, because gratitude recognizes movement and recognition accelerates manifestation. Even Jesus taught that those who had ears to hear received more. Recognition is the doorway. Chosen one, you are standing in a threshold season. Heaven is intervening not with noise but with precision. This is not the kind of breakthrough that knocks down doors, it opens them quietly from the inside. Your job is not to force anything. Your role is to stay present, receptive, and aligned. Money will not need to be chased. It will find you because it already knows your frequency. If you feel a calm expectancy rather than frantic hope, that is alignment. If you feel less urgency and more readiness, that is alignment. If you feel your old fears loosening their grip, that is alignment. These are not small signs. They are confirmations. Chosen one, as you continue listening, let your heart stay open. Let these words settle not just in your mind, but in your body, in your breath, in your sense of self. Because what heaven is releasing next will not arrive to convince you, it will arrive to match you. And you are closer than you think. Chosen one. There is a deeper layer to what you are experiencing now, and it must be spoken gently because it touches places you once learned to guard. Money responds not only to what you believe, but to what you allow yourself to feel when it comes near. Many never realize this. They think the work is external, but the real work happens in the quiet moments when opportunity approaches and the heart reacts before the mind can explain it. There was a season in my life when I said I wanted abundance, but when it appeared, my body tightened. My chest felt heavy. My thoughts raced. I didn't call it fear then. I called it being careful or realistic. But the truth was simpler, and more humbling part of me did not yet feel safe receiving more. And money being energy felt that immediately. It didn't leave. It softened its approach. It waited. Chosen one. This may sound familiar. You may have noticed that when things begin to improve, an old unease rises. Not because you don't want more, but because more asks something of you. It asks you to be seen. It asks you to make choices. It asks you to stand differently in the world. And if at any point in your past visibility brought pain, criticism, or loss, your nervous system learned to associate abundance with danger. Money responds to that memory not to punish you, but to honor the signal your body is sending. This is why heaven has been patient with you. Scripture often speaks of God preparing vessels before pouring them out, not because the gift is withheld, but because the vessel must be able to hold without cracking. You are not behind. You have been in preparation at the level that matters most. Your capacity to receive is expanding, even if you don't yet see the results reflected in numbers. Chosen one. Let me tell you something that shifted everything for me. Money does not test your discipline first. It tests your relationship with worth. If deep inside you learned that love was conditional, that safety was fragile, or that success separated you from others, then abundance will approach you carefully, almost respectfully. It will knock softly, not loudly, and if you don't recognize the knock, you might mistake patience for absence. Think of the moments you almost said yes, but didn't. The conversations you felt drawn to but avoided. The ideas that came and went because they felt too big, too sudden, or too exposed. Those were responses. Those were money asking, "Are you ready to receive me like this?" And every time you hesitated, the universe did not judge you. It simply adjusted the pace. Chosen one. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is inviting you forward. There comes a moment when alignment asks for cooperation, not striving, not forcing, cooperation. This looks like allowing yourself to feel calm when good news arrives. It looks like staying present when help shows up instead of immediately wondering what it will cost you. It looks like letting joy linger instead of bracing for disappointment. I had to learn this slowly. I had to learn that peace in the presence of abundance was not arrogance, it was trust. And trust more than effort is what abundance recognizes as home. You see, money has memory. It remembers how you treat yourself when things go well. Do you tighten? Do you apologize? Do you shrink so others feel comfortable? Or do you remain grounded, grateful, and open? The universe mirrors that response faithfully, not because it favors one over another, but because resonance is law. Chosen one. This is why comparison has never helped you. You are not meant to receive the way others do. Your nervous system, your history, your calling are different. Heaven has been teaching you how to receive in a way that does not cost you your peace. That takes time. That takes compassion toward yourself. That takes unlearning old survival patterns that once protected you but no longer serve you. There is something sacred happening beneath the surface now. Your reactions are changing. You may notice that when opportunity arises, you don't panic the way you used to, or that when money conversations come up, your body stays a little softer. These are not small shifts. These are signs of alignment completing its work. Chosen one. The Bible speaks of perfect love casting out fear. In the realm of abundance, safety does the same. When you feel safe to receive, fear loses its grip. And when fear loosens, flow begins. This is why the breakthrough you are approaching feels quieter than you expected. It is not dramatic because it is stable. It is not loud because it is sustainable. Let me speak this clearly. Money is learning how to stay with you, not visit, not spike and disappear. Stay. And for that to happen, your inner world must feel like a place it can remain without causing you harm. That is the work you have been doing without even realizing it. Chosen one, you have grown beyond chasing. You are learning to allow. You have matured beyond urgency. You are entering readiness. And readiness feels like calm expectancy, not desperation. It feels like trust without timelines. It feels like standing without proving. If there is one thing I want you to hold right now, it is this. You do not need to convince money to come. You need to recognize how it has already been responding and meet it with openness instead of fear. Recognition completes the circuit. Gratitude stabilizes the flow. Safety sustains it. Heaven is not asking you to become someone else. It is inviting you to stop bracing, to stop flinching at good things, to let yourself be met fully by what has been trying to reach you gently for a long time. Stay with this. Let it sink beneath thought and into awareness, because the alignment taking place now is not temporary, it is foundational, and what is built on foundation does not collapse when tested. Chosen one, now we move into the place where many people turn back without realizing it. Not because the path is wrong, but because it becomes quiet. And silence can feel unsettling when you have been trained to expect noise before change. Yet this is often the exact moment when alignment completes its work and response becomes movement. Money responds most clearly when you stop watching it. That may sound strange, but it is deeply true. The moment your attention softens, when you stop scanning for proof and stop measuring every sign, the flow begins to reorganize itself. I learned this during a season when nothing seemed to be happening outwardly, yet inwardly everything was rearranging. At the time it felt like nothing. Later I realized it was everything. Chosen one. Heaven often works beneath the surface first. Roots grow in darkness. Scripture speaks of faith forming in unseen places long before manifestation appears. In the same way, abundance begins its movement in layers you cannot track with logic. This is why impatience breaks alignment, not because impatience is wrong, but because it pulls your awareness out of the very frequency that allows response to become arrival. There is a subtle shift that happens when you stop needing money to reassure you of your worth. When you no longer look to it for identity validation or safety, money stops carrying emotional weight. And when it becomes lighter in your spirit, it becomes freer in your life. Energy moves where there is no pressure. Chosen one, ask yourself honestly, what did money once represent to you? For some, it represented escape. For others, control. For others, still proof that they mattered. I carried that burden for years without naming it. Money felt like a verdict on my value. When it was low, I felt small. When it increased, I felt temporary relief, followed by fear of loss. That emotional charge distorted the relationship. Money was responding, but it was responding to tension. When that shifted, everything else followed. You may be noticing now that your relationship with money is becoming less dramatic, less charged, less emotional. This is not a sign of disinterest. It is a sign of healing. And healed relationships allow consistency. This is where heaven begins to trust you with flow rather than spikes. Chosen one. Wealth that comes through alignment does not rush. It arrives steadily. It integrates into your life without shaking your nervous system. It does not demand that you abandon yourself to keep it. That is why the preparation mattered. Heaven does not want to bless you in a way that costs you your peace. There is another truth that must be spoken carefully. Money responds to permission more than desire. You may desire abundance deeply, but if some part of you still believes that having more will make you separate from others, or make you unsafe, or make you responsible for everyone, then permission has not yet been granted internally, and money will honor that boundary until it changes. Permission does not come from force. It comes from acceptance, from the quiet moment when you say within yourself, "It is safe for my life to expand." That sentence alone shifts more than years of effort. When I first allowed that thought to land, it felt unfamiliar, almost foreign, but it also felt relieving, like exhaling after holding my breath for too long. Chosen one, you are allowed to expand without explanation. You are allowed to receive without apology. You are allowed to live well without justifying it to anyone. These are not selfish truths. They are aligned truths. And alignment is what abundance recognizes. You may notice now that your focus is changing. You are less obsessed with outcomes and more attuned to internal states. You are more aware of how your body reacts to good news, how your breath changes when opportunity arises. This awareness is not random, it is refinement. Heaven is teaching you to listen to subtle signals so that when movement begins, you do not sabotage it unconsciously. I remember the first time I noticed myself staying calm when something unexpectedly positive happened. No racing thoughts, no immediate fear, just presence. That moment was worth more than the outcome itself because it showed me that alignment had taken root. The outer results followed soon after, but the inner shift was the true breakthrough. Chosen one money is not impressed by intensity. It is drawn to stability. It moves toward those who can hold it without losing themselves. That is why your journey has been inward before it becomes outward. That is why this season has asked you to slow down, to feel, to notice, to soften. There is a kind of authority that comes from alignment. It does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition, but the universe responds to it immediately. When you stand in that authority, you no longer chase opportunities. They orient themselves toward you, not dramatically, naturally. If you feel less urgency than you used to, that is not laziness, it is maturity. If you feel less desperate to prove yourself, that is not stagnation, it is grounding. These states are magnetic. They signal readiness. Chosen one heaven is not preparing to overwhelm you. It is preparing to support you. And support looks different than struggle. It feels quieter. It feels steadier. It feels like trust replacing effort. That is why you must not confuse peace with delay. Right now, money is not deciding whether to come. It has already responded. What is being finalized is how it integrates into your life in a way that honors who you have become. Alignment is not about speed, it is about fit. Let your awareness rest here for a moment. You do not need to do anything with this truth. You only need to allow it, because allowance is the bridge between response and manifestation. And you are standing on that bridge now. Chosen one, there comes a moment when alignment stops feeling like preparation and begins to feel like responsibility. Not responsibility in the heavy sense you once carried, but a quieter knowing that your inner world now sets the tone for what enters your life. This is where many people unconsciously pull back, because standing in alignment means you can no longer blame delay, circumstance, or fate. You begin to see that your state matters and that awareness can feel sobering before it feels empowering. Money responds to clarity, not the loud clarity of declarations shouted into the void, but the steady clarity of a settled heart. When you know who you are without needing external confirmation, your energy stabilizes. And when energy stabilizes, it becomes reliable. This is the quality abundance is drawn to. It does not want chaos. It wants continuity. Chosen one, think back to earlier seasons when unpredictability defined your life. Highs followed by sudden drops. Momentum followed by exhaustion. Those cycles were not punishments. They were feedback. Money was responding to fluctuation. Now something within you has changed. You are not swinging between hope and doubt as violently. Your inner world is becoming consistent. That consistency is what allows wealth to stay. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a time when I mistook emotional intensity for passion. I thought the more I wanted something, the closer it was. But intensity burns energy quickly. Stability preserves it. When I learned to remain centered regardless of outcome, opportunities began arriving without drama. They stayed. They built on one another, and I finally understood why heaven had delayed certain things. I would not have been able to hold them then. Chosen One this season is not about attracting something new. It is about maintaining what is arriving. That requires discernment. Not every opportunity that looks good is aligned. Not every door that opens is meant to be walked through. When you are aligned, you no longer need to grab. You can choose. Money responds differently when you choose rather than chase. Choice signals power. It tells the universe you are no longer operating from lack. That shift alone alters the quality of what comes toward you. Opportunities become cleaner. Relationships become more respectful. Flow becomes smoother. You may notice now that you are more selective with your energy. You guard your peace. You say no without guilt. You walk away from things that once tempted you. This is not fear. This is alignment protecting itself. And money respects boundaries. Energy flows where it is welcomed, not where it is leaked. Chosen One. There is a sacred humility in alignment that does not seek attention. You no longer need to announce what is happening inside you. The universe reads your state without words. Scripture speaks of the Father who sees in secret and rewards openly. Alignment is cultivated in secret. Manifestation happens openly. This is why comparison no longer holds power over you. When you are aligned, other people's abundance does not threaten you. It confirms what is possible. Envy dissolves because resonance replaces rivalry, and the universe responds by bringing what matches your unique frequency, not someone else's path. Let me speak to something very real. When money begins to respond more clearly, it can bring unfamiliar choices. Decisions that ask you to trust yourself. Decisions that ask you to let go of old identities. This is where alignment deepens, not by what you gain, but by what you release. There were relationships I had to outgrow, patterns of overgiving that masked unworthiness, habits of self-sacrifice that kept me safe but small. Money responded instantly when those patterns changed, not because I became selfish, but because I became honest. Abundance flows through honesty. Chosen One. Heaven does not fund masks. It funds authenticity. When you live from who you truly are rather than who you think you must be, energy aligns. Money moves. Life simplifies. You stop negotiating your worth in every interaction. This is the quiet authority you are stepping into now. It does not need to prove itself. It does not need permission. It simply exists, and the universe organizes itself around it. If there is tension arising as you listen, it is not resistance. It is integration. Old parts of you are adjusting to a new baseline. This is normal. Do not rush it. Allow your nervous system to learn that stability can feel safe. Allow your mind to release the belief that struggle equals growth. Chosen One. Abundance that comes through alignment does not demand urgency. It unfolds in rhythm. You will notice things falling into place without you forcing them. Conversations align, timing opens, resources appear when needed. Not ahead of time, not too late, right on time. Your role now is presence, not vigilance. Presence, to notice what feels expansive and what feels constricting, to choose the former without guilt, to trust that what is aligned will not require you to abandon yourself. Money has been responding to you all along. Now it is responding to who you have become. That is why this season feels different. It is not louder, it is clearer. Stay here. Let alignment do what effort never could. Chosen One. What you are stepping into now is not an event, but a way of living. This is where many misunderstand the nature of abundance, believing it arrives as a moment, and then life returns to normal. But alignment does not visit and leave. It establishes residence. And once it does, everything begins to respond differently, not because you are trying, but because you are positioned. There is a quiet confidence that forms when you realize you are no longer waiting. You may still desire, still envision, still move forward, but the desperation has dissolved. That dissolution is not loss of hunger, it is clarity of identity. When you know who you are, you no longer ask life to prove it to you. And when that need disappears, the universe finally has room to move freely. I remember the first time I noticed this shift in myself. Nothing dramatic had happened externally. My circumstances were mostly the same, but inside something settled. I stopped rehearsing worst-case scenarios. I stopped bracing for disappointment. I stopped needing reassurance from outcomes. And strangely, that was the moment outcomes began changing. Not overnight, but steadily, naturally, sustainably. Chosen. One money responds to those who are at home within themselves. When your inner world is no longer fragmented, your outer world follows suit. This is why heaven has been working on your sense of wholeness rather than your tactics. Wholeness creates coherence. Coherence creates flow. There is a sacred paradox here that few understand. The less you grip abundance, the more it circulates through you. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped constricting. Energy flows where it feels trusted, and trust is felt, not declared. You may notice now that your prayers sound different, less pleading, more gratitude, less asking for rescue, more alignment with provision. This is not spiritual pride, it is spiritual maturity. Scripture speaks of moving from milk to solid food. In the same way, you are moving from survival-based faith to embodied trust. Chosen one, embodied trust does not mean passivity. It means inspired movement without anxiety, action without self-betrayal, effort without strain. This is the rhythm of abundance. When you act from this place, the universe amplifies your movement rather than resisting it. There will still be challenges. Alignment does not eliminate growth, but challenges now serve expansion, not punishment. They refine rather than exhaust. And because your identity is no longer tied to outcome, you move through them with resilience rather than fear. Money in this stage becomes a servant rather than a master. It supports your life instead of defining it. It flows where purpose directs it. And when money has purpose, it multiplies naturally, not recklessly, wisely. I want you to hear this clearly. You were never meant to struggle to be worthy of provision. You were meant to steward it. Stewardship requires awareness, not suffering. It requires presence, not panic. And heaven trusts you with stewardship because you have learned restraint, humility, and discernment along the way. Chosen one, look at how your values have clarified. You no longer chase everything that sparkles. You are selective. You ask deeper questions. You care about sustainability, not just arrival. This is not coincidence. This is preparation complete. When abundance begins to flow consistently, it often tests one final thing. Will you stay rooted in who you are, or will you revert to old patterns of overextension, overgiving, or self-neglect? Alignment asks you to remain grounded, to receive without guilt, to give without depletion. There was a moment when I had to learn that generosity does not mean abandonment of self. True generosity flows from overflow, not obligation. And when that lesson integrated, money stabilized. Because the universe responds to balance. Chosen one, balance is not mediocrity, it is mastery. It is the ability to move between receiving and releasing without losing center. When you embody this, your life becomes a conduit rather than a battleground. You may sense now that abundance feels closer, but also less dramatic. That is because drama belonged to the old cycle. What comes next is quieter, deeper, more integrated. It does not announce itself loudly. It simply becomes part of your reality. Let yourself trust this. Let yourself enjoy without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Let yourself plan without fear. Let yourself rest without guilt. These are not small acts. They are signals, and money responds to signals. Chosen one, heaven is not trying to surprise you anymore. It is trying to partner with you. Partnership requires steadiness, and you have grown into that steadiness. As you move forward from this place, remember, alignment is maintained through presence, through listening, through honoring what feels true rather than what feels urgent. When you live this way, abundance does not need to chase you. It recognizes you as home. Stay anchored here. Let this become your new normal, because what you are carrying now is not a momentary breakthrough, it is a foundation. And from foundation, everything that grows has the strength to last. Chosen one, as you reach the end of this message, know this with certainty: nothing here was accidental and nothing is ending. What has been stirred within you is alive. What has been awakened cannot return to sleep. You are not leaving with information, you are leaving with alignment. Heaven has already begun the transfer, and you are standing in your exact kairos moment, the divinely appointed time where response becomes manifestation. Anointed One, money has heard you because the universe has recognized you, not by your striving, but by your becoming. What flows next will come naturally, steadily, and in right order, because you are no longer chasing, you are positioned. Stay faithful to this inner stillness. Stay aligned with what feels true, peaceful, and expansive. Gratitude will keep the channel open, and trust will keep it flowing. I bless you now with clarity of mind, calm in your spirit, and courage to receive without fear. May provision meet you where preparation has been made. May doors open without force. May abundance arrive without cost to your peace. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are exactly on time. If this word resonated with your spirit, hold it with reverence. And if you feel led, share a quiet confirmation in the comments, or remain connected so we continue this journey together. Chosen one, walk forward, knowing this: the flow has already begun, and it knows your name.